Hello, my name is Savannah Hobbs, and with Juliana Adams, Eliza Santoya, and Natalia Gonzalez, we will be talking about the Southern African region of the continent Africa. Southern Africa's location is located in the southernmost part of the African continent. It has the Indian Ocean to its east, Southern Ocean to its south, and the South Atlantic Ocean to its west. As for coordinates, Southern Africa is located between 15 and 35 degrees south and 10 degrees and 40 degrees east. Southern Africa is made up of many different and diverse nations. These nations include the country of Namibia. This country's capital is Windhoek. We have South Africa. Its capital is Cape Town. We have Botswana. Its capital is Gaborone. We have Eswatini. It's formerly known as Swaziland, but in order to stop confusion with Switzerland, they changed this Eswatini. Eswatini's capital is Mbabane. And finally, we have Lesotho, with its capital of Maseru. Now, Southern Africa is made up of different landforms and many different rivers. Some of those include the Namib Desert. This desert is located all along the western coast of the country Namibia, with the northernmost part of the desert in the southern part of Angola. Next, we have the Kalahari Desert. The Kalahari Desert spans across 3 countries, and that's mostly in Botswana, some in South Africa, and then a little bit in Namibia. Kalahari is one of the largest wildlife reserves in the entire world, and it's called the Central Kalahari Game Reserve, and it's famous for its the large wildlife that stays there. And fun fact, it actually isn't like most deserts like you would think, such as like the Sahara Desert, which is very sandy and deserty. The Kalahari Desert is actually has many as it does have sand, it is very Greenlandish, and it has a lot of wildlife there. We also have the Drakensberg Mountains that run along the eastern part of South Africa. We have the Great Escarpment. This runs along the entire border of the southern part of southern Africa. As for rivers, we have the Orange River, the Limpopo River, and the Zambezi River. As for the climate properties, Southern Africa is a very diverse area of climate. Although the most common temperament is a warm, dry temperament, although we do see in the reddish area that these are dry temperaments, as the Kalahari Desert is located mostly right here, and the Namib Desert is located along the coast right here. Southern Africa does experience most of its rainfall during the summertime.
The major resource bases along South Africa are known for their resources that are non-renewable. These non-renewable resources include diamonds, gold, cobalt, and copper. Several South African countries are top producers for diamonds and gold. The Republic of Congo has plentiful copper and cobalt reserves, and these resources are all exported throughout the South African nations and beyond. Population. The region of Southern Africa has a relatively small population in comparison to the rest of the world. In total, Southern Africa houses 74,626,553 people, or around that, in 2026. This accounts for less than 1% of the world population, only 0.9%. This is the smallest subregion by population in Africa in comparison to the rest of the continent. This subregion only experiences about 1.2% of the yearly growth rate. Major locations of the Southern Africa region, the most populated nation would be South Africa, with a population around 65,453,100 people. The second most populated nation would be Namibia, with about 3,153,250 people. The major cities in Southern Africa are mostly located in South Africa, which include Johannesburg and Cape Town, as pictured. Other major cities not within South Africa would include Windhoek in Namibia and Gaborone in Botswana.
In southern Africa, the ancient civilizations are Mapungubwe, which is from the 10th to the 13th century, Great Zimbabwe, which is from the 11th to the 15th century, and Kami, which is 15th through the 17th century. In southern Africa, the major languages spoken there are Izulu, which is 23%, isiXhosa, which is 16%, Afrikaans, which is 14%, and lastly, English is 9.6%. In southern Africa, the culture is very diverse with rainbow nation tapestry. The customs are a union among 5 countries of southern Africa. The folklore consists of cautionary tales and supernatural creatures like the malevolent Tokoloshi. Music, they have the Amapiano, the Gukwam, and the Bacardi House. Lastly, dance, they have the Zulu Indlamu and the Gumbu dance.
Southern Africa has its political structures, organizations, and their government issues. Major nations like South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana, they adopt the form of government of a republic. This form of government has an elected president and their parliament. This is very similar to the way we run our country in the United States. Eswatini adopts an absolute monarchy. You might recognize an absolute monarchy with dictators or just monarchs that hold the absolute power, which is still happening even in today's ages. And then we have Lesotho. They adopt a constitutional monarchy. This form of government has an appointed king or queen with a parliament underneath them. Unfortunately, like most countries, they do face their own issues. For example, South Africa has dealt with many instances of corruption in their own government. There has been instances of misuse of funds, which has led to an extreme decrease in trust in their government. Countries like Eswatini, who have absolute monarchs, do always sometimes they do lead to political protests and lead to the demand of change because of their reductions in freedoms and their lack of individual rights. For example, in Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, from 2021, there was a series of political protests across the country demanding for democracy in their country.
Economic organization. The economic organization and the nations of Southern Africa are developed by resource exportation. The success of each resource's exportation is reflected in that nation's economy and their economic success. The nations vary in economic organization because of resource success and failure. South Africa is economically advanced, but it is struggling to maintain its strong economy, as it is stronger than the nations surrounding it, but not as strong as the most successful economic nations in the world. Other nations in Southern Africa have weak economies that are increasing in an upward trend in success. Most of the nations in Southern Africa are projected to increase their economic revenue, GDP, and fiscal balances in the upcoming years. Economic development. As previously stated, the economies of Southern African nations have improved in recent years, but can potentially find more success. This success is currently being prevented by a variety of developmental issues that include less demand for resource bases. For example, the diamond industry is experiencing a dip in demand for diamonds. This hurts the economies of Southern African nations that produce diamonds and influence their economic development. Another issue is hesitancy to continue infrastructure investments. Many nations could be investing in infrastructure but are being hesitant, which hurts their development. Another issue is geopolitical conflicts continue to influence trade and hurt economic success. In particular, Lesotho continues to have structural struggles which continues to hurt their economy as they do not have structurally sound buildings, which makes it hard to find economic success and build their empire. Social form and issues. The social form in Southern African countries is diverse and lacks castes and hierarchies. The main social structure is triangular and is based on social connectedness in ranks tribe, family, and kin. This structure influences how close individuals are with one another based on how related they truly are. These nations also face a variety of social issues that are similar to those in a variety of other regions, including corruption, unemployment, poor healthcare, and poverty. In these nations, these issues are heightened due to the economy's struggle to grow. Poverty and corruption are both involved in the economic success, while unemployment and poor healthcare have a lot to do with the individual's economic status, which is all connected to economic development, which the Southern African nations are struggling to continue to grow.